So I'm going to talk about a colorful subject, colors. It's something I do love to work with. I know some of my videos don't show it as well because I do this very high contrast pattern here to try and make that much easier to see. I don't want to have a whole bunch of color and a whole bunch of decorations on my slides because I feel like that does add distraction. It does make it more difficult to see, especially for some folks. So I wanted to have it clear. But I do enjoy colors. It really does help, though, if you're going to be working with colors, to understand how are they made, how do they work, how can you calculate and select them, and it depends on exactly what you're working with. There's two different types of colors, and that's why you'll have some argument with some people about what are the primary colors, because it's different depending on what you're working with, and that's something that we're going to look at coming up here. I hope you'll excuse the crudity of my model, but it's what I have to work with. So if you're dealing with a paint color wheel, which is over here on my left, versus the light color wheel that is over on the right, the paint color wheel is the one that has the white background, because you start with white. You start with a white canvas or something like that. Ideally, you want to start with that, and then you blend your primary colors. As you'll see here, we've got yellow at the top, red over there on the right, and then over there on the left we got blue. And these kind of pinkish colors, they're actually supposed to be purple, is the closest I could get to it. The program I had to build this with, I don't know where my regular program was at the time. I can't remember which one I normally would use for this, but it's what I had. Anyway, that is supposed to be purple. So if you mix red and blue, it becomes purple. If you mix yellow and red, it becomes orange. If you mix yellow and blue, it becomes green. And if you mix them all three, then you become black in there. So white reflects all your colors. Black doesn't reflect anything, and the other colors, they change the filter. The idea here is it changes the light coming off of that surface, so that way you see it differently when it comes in. So this is for a surface that will reflect that, as opposed to over on the right hand side where I have the black background color wheel. This is for light, and this is for things that emit that light that you will see. And so you start with nothing, and then there are three bases of that you turn on, and this is important for, the first one is important if you're dealing with printers. The white background one, the paint color wheel, that's important for printers or something like that if you're working with printed graphics. But if you're working with computer screens, web, programs, stuff like that, where you're dealing with light, the one on the right with a black background is the one that you want to work with. You're starting with the light turned off. And a lot of screens, and they've really just got three of these lights. They have a green light, they have a red light, and they have a blue light. It's actually magenta light. But they have all three lights. Each of these three lights, and they're turned on to different amounts. But in this case, for understanding our color wheel, we're either going to have them on or off. So if you just turn on the red, then you will just have a red light. But if you turn on the red and the green, it will appear to be yellow. Those colors will mix, it will become yellow in that spot. If you have the red and the blue turned on, it will become more of a purplish color in that spot. not actually purple, it's but yeah, it's fuchsia, I think, is what you end up with in that spot. You know, blue and green, if they're both turned on together and red is off, you're going to have more of that light blue aqua color. If they're all on, then you get your white. So white is the combination of all your primaries, but if they're all turned off, it's black, because it deals with the emission of color. And when we're dealing with programs, which is what this is what the rest of this video is going to be about, is really dealing more with the screen than printing. So we're going to talk about how to select them, particularly on HTML, but there are some other ones where you'll enter it like as a numeric array or something like that. And you want to know the range that you're selecting. First of all, though, I'm going to explain the page I'm going to use. It's a basic HTML page. Contains a it contains an input field called color, ID'd color, and then I come on over here and on click I have a button it's actually a submit button, but on click it prevents the form from submitting. That way we keep our page, but it changes the background, the Windows documents background color to whatever is in that colors box text. So whatever I type, that's the main point here that we need to understand, is whatever I type in that box, it is going to set it, same as if I had entered HTML BG color to be whatever. Okay, whatever I type in here will be, I'm basically just doing it through JavaScript on here. So HTML can use, and some high-level languages or even lower-level stuff that may have a library that you can import may have support for named colors, such as I can name the color and get it to show up. But other ones, you're going to need to have some type of a process. So you can always enter a hash value, and in HTML and a number of other programs, but some of them are just an array. You know, there could be a numeric array 0 through 255, you know, and you just kind of enter that. That would be black on that case. But this is for HTML, so we got to use HTML's format. In this case, and most graphics, it's going to be dealing with 0 being off, and then there's 255 brightness settings from 1 clear on up to 255. In HTML, it's hexadecimal notation, which means FF is the highest. Hexadecimal means once I reach 9, I keep counting. I go on into A, and then B, C, D, E, F, and then after F, then I carry the next column on over. If this is 0F, this one gets carried in. That one becomes a 1, and that goes back down to a 0. I'm using base 16 hexadecimal. So the highest value would be the FF. Lowest value would be 00. So 00 is off. FF is fully on, as much as I can get in here. Something in the middle would be, say, an 80. Now this is a 6-digit hexadecimal code. The thing that we want to know on this is we have reds, greens, blues. That's what you need to remember. So the question is, how much red, how much blue, I'm sorry, how much green and how much blue are we going to put on here? Red, green, blue. How much of these are turned on? I have my red turned off. I have my green fully turned on, as bright as it can get, and I have my blue halfway turned on. So let's see what we end up with on that. You know, remember it would have been kind of an agua color if this was fully on. So this is partly the blue is gone, part of the blue is gone. See, it's agua, but now I'm giving it a little bit more green, less blue. So that's how I'm able to select my colors on here. So if I want it to be pure red, there I go. Any of my greens. If I want to make it darker, just turn down the brightness of that color. Understanding that color wheel helps. If I really want to make it super bright, I'm going to maybe add extra over from here. But once again, this is getting close to the white. So now that's like a super light green, because I evenly added the other two colors to make a white on that background. So that's where you just want to kind of play with your color wheel on that and get an idea, get a picture of your color wheel. It would be good to get a picture of a color wheel from somewhere. Download a color wheel for light. Remember that there's multiple color wheels out there, particularly your pigment and your non-pigment. You want your non-pigment for light color wheel, and that's what you're going to be working with on this. So that's how you do it for HTML. There are some other ones, you know, if you're dealing with Visual Basic, that's usually sometimes they can be reversed. I think Visual Basic was reversed. So, you know, if it was HTML, that would be red, but it seemed like Visual Basic, it seemed like it was like the last ones were red. So on this case, it's going to be blue though, because it's HTML. So you want to know your program as well. You want to know the color wheel to figure out where it is on that color wheel that you're looking at. You know, am I looking for my my mix between my blue and my red? You know, am I looking for that color? In that case, that's what I'm going to want to hit. I'm going to want to hit that fuchsia color in there. Find it on your color wheel, figure out where that is that you want to hit. So in this case it was right down there in the center, so I know it's fully my red and my blue, but none of my green. If it comes partly up, I'm going to add a little bit of green for that. That's where I got my, you know, crazy green color that I got before. That color. Okay? That was green, but I went a little bit more towards white, so I was over in here. Now this is not a very good color wheel, because a color wheel should really show the shades. That's going to be a good color wheel for you, is to find the shades. You want a good color wheel to really be picking these things out, or just learn it. But before you do learn it, it is good to know your color wheel. So, you know, you could also build an editor like something like what I built. Take a look at that part of the video where I showed you the code maybe and redo it, or just do your own thing. You can have a page where you just type it in over there on the background color and just type it in differently till you get it right. Just play with it till you get it right. Just depends on whatever suits you, but that's the concept behind calculating your color and getting your color. And sometimes it is a little bit of a guessing game, but you can calculate. And if you are looking for like a color somewhere else on your screen, some of your art programs can get a pixel somewhere on the screen, and if you can't do that, then you can take a screenshot of the screen and get that pixel out of the open it with a program that will tell you what that pixel's color is, and then you can insert it. There's all kinds of ways to find and match colors. But the best way to calculate it is to think about where it is on that color wheel, and think about that. The closer to the center is all F's, towards whatever side is to those colors. That's where you want to go up. Know your program, know your color wheel, and then you can calculate whatever you need. Thank you for watching.